Hello.
Hello.
Hi, guys. It's day 99. 99.
99.
It is day 99 of lockdown. We have been at this for 99 days, guys.
Just keep saying 99 and we'll get through this.
Yeah, I'll say 99 times. No, it's just mad. So tomorrow, I should say also it's Friday. No, it's Saturday, the 27th of June. So tomorrow is the big 100. It is our centenary, our centennial lockdown blog. We did go into lockdown ever so slightly before Wales and actually the whole UK went into official lockdown, but we sort of knew it was coming. It was the end of well, I knew that I'd had to lock down from work the day before.
Yeah,
I'd been told to shut, and we kind of knew it was coming.
My bosses in my day, all my gigs have been cancelled, and my bosses in my day job had asked people to take paid holiday, which I did.
Yeah.
And then official lockdown happened.
Yes. We knew we were in lockdown, and we knew the rest of the country was coming in. We went into it on the Saturday night. Well, the Saturday was our first blog. And then March 23rd was the UK-wide lockdown. So if any of you have been cottoning on to sort of the days and just thinking they don't quite marry up, that's why.
So hang on, you've lost me now though, because what day was it, Saturday?
The 21st.
Oh, so we were 2 days.
We were early. So the rest of the country...
Didn't take the rest of the country long to catch up,
no,
bless them.
We were the little blaze trailers. No, trailblazers.
Yeah. I think
that is
cocktail,
what. No,
I think
that
those cocktails were quite strong.
That is what happens when you grow up with my dad.
Is that
right?
Right.
You might not know about this, but my dad has a habit of. He's got his own little language. He sort of has little dadisms for things that he calls things, which is fine. It's cute. We're all on board. It's fine. However, when you're growing up and you don't know that these are words that only your dad uses, you can mess up sometimes. So for all my childhood, my dad used to really like to eat pomegranates. He used to buy fresh pomegranates and break them open and sit there eating pomegranates. But he calls them Grannypommets. And I didn't know that that wasn't what they were called. So I said that in school once when I was about 14, and the entire room, because it was like we had to get up and speak about something, and I had to say, I had to suggest fruits. I think we were talking about Persephone. She ate some pomegranate seeds, but I said Grannypommet seeds. Everyone laughed. They thought I did it on purpose, got away with it, but I felt very stupid. But yes, I think my dad sort of spoonerizes and switches words around, so Blaze Trailer would probably be absolutely a dadism.
I'll put it down to the cocktail. Well,
I haven't finished my cocktail.
Well, full disclosure, Ellie made some very, very strong cocktails, and the bits of the cocktails that weren't booze were some quite sweet syrups, and I drank mine very quickly.
All of the ingredients of the Relly Daniel and the Yelly Daniel, but both in one glass, but to Ellie proportions. So lots of sugary syrup, lots of amaretto, bit of aquafaba, yum.
And it was tasty, but I drank it all quite quickly on quite an empty stomach. And it is not sitting well. I feel
just before pressing record on this, you just went, "Ooh, that cocktail's doing a number on me."
I feel clinically weird.
You look clinically weird.
Thank you. You say the sweetest things. I feel a little bit like sicky, but it's fine. It is fine, and a little bit drunk, and I might be coming over. But
okay.
We should have. I should drink. I should eat first, line my stomach before we start on the heavy cocktails.
Sorry. I'd had a bit of a heavy day, and we both just kind of went, "Oh Christ, I need a drink." But I didn't know what the correct proportions were, and was making it in a big old jug to then split, and just kind of quite a lot of amaretto. It was probably about half a bottle of amaretto between.
I, for my part, had been doing quite a lot of editing work on a sketch we filmed.
Yeah, all of the bits that meant that neither of us could get our hair cut or coloured, you might notice, have been filmed.
Yeah, so...
There's some bits that sound we still need to do.
I'll get to that, right? Because, I spent quite a lot of time on this editing today, to the point that I gave myself a bit of a headache staring at the screen and doing this editing, which is fine, but then when I came downstairs, Nelly said, "Oh, let's just have a cocktail." I was like, "Right, yeah, I could do with a drink. I think that's how you deal with headaches, isn't it? Drink heavily."
That is how I deal with headaches.
And we were gonna chill, but we didn't quite end up chilling because drama. But we won't go into that. But Ellie, right, refused earlier today to cut my hair because she said, look how fucking lockdown my hair is. Right, I've not had a haircut in. It was getting a bit long. I was thinking that I needed a cut before lockdown even started. This is full on lockdown hair that I'm rocking here, and Ellie refused to cut my hair because she said, we've got to edit the thing first. Because I know we filmed it all, but what if in the edit you realise there's something missing, or we need an extra line or a retake or anything? You're gonna be kicking yourself because your hair's
That's
gonna
valid,
change.
isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is valid until we look at Exhibit A and we go, this person who was also in the film that we filmed has changed her hair
But
completely. What if I need you for retakes?
all of the bits that we filmed
Yeah.
are supposed to have happened at the start, or me then. It's fine that my hair changed.
No, but what if I needed you to do some extra lines from the talking head bit where it's long?
I just record all of them.
All of
Yeah.
how
It
much?
took about half an hour. It's fine.
Fuck off.
All of your bits took ages because we
Yeah.
had to do them in different
No.
locations and all sorts of shit.
Recording your
Mine
lines.
was just sitting there and talking to camera.
Yeah, and that took
And one scene that we filmed in the bath months ago.
Ellie, and that took half an hour to record your lines.
Mm.
Do you know how long that takes me then to edit
Yeah.
and cut up and chop and find the right bits and scroll through and delete
Well,
and
no, but if
redelete
you'd gone
and
to it
all
today
that?
and went, none of them have worked, we'd just record them all, wouldn't we?
Yeah, but if they all worked, but I needed an extra line and you'd changed your hair.
Well, we'd have to just do voiceover, wouldn't we?
I mean,
I asked you if I could
fuck's
dye my
sake,
hair, and you
guys.
said yes.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
It was after we had that conversation.
I don't mind. I'm just saying you also should have cut my hair.
Right. Okay, so it wasn't that I was being unprofessional, it was you wanted to be unprofessional.
I just think it's a double standard. I think it's one or the other. Either we both get to fuck with our hair, or neither of us do. If you can't fuck with my hair because it might affect the
I didn't say
film-
I wouldn't. I said, should we, because of that.
Yeah.
And you went, oh, that's a fair point.
Right. I think tomorrow you cut my hair.
Before the live blog?
Yes.
Before the live blog?
Yeah. Give us something to talk about. If nothing
Oh,
else.
God. Oh, no, but when we do the live blog, like, when we do the haircutting, I quite like the idea of doing a transformation thing, which we can't do if we're recording live.
So you say, but now that means an extra day.
I don't want to cut his hair, guys.
But look, I'm not.
It's gonna be so bad.
I'm not expecting it to look good. I just want it because I realise, like, I'm not trying to diminish hairdressing as a skill. I realise that, because they don't just lop bits off the end. It's got to be neat, but also, like, I have quite thick hair. They would cut bits to kind of thin it out so the shape of it is right and everything.
Yeah, the shape
But
won't be right.
At this point, I do not give a fuck, mate. I just want it to be out of my eyes and just not make me quite so hot, given the fucking weather we've been having. It has
You're a bit cross, aren't you?
it has not at you, just at the hair. Because I've been reading.
It's not good that this is my reaction to Chris being cross either, is it?
You know that I've been doing a lot of reading of a lot of graphic novels, and I'm sitting there with a book, and my hair's just in my eye, getting my eye line. It's so
I
frustrating.
have offered you hairbands.
Also,
There are tools in my toolkit that would have
also
helped
what is
with
annoying, I've been reading this entire collection of graphic novels, and the one I'm on at the minute is Captain America one, and the one I've got after this is Planet Hulk. It's about the Incredible Hulk
Right.
in space,
Right.
and in order to get to that, I've got to read this fucking Captain
You
America.
don't have
No, I
to.
do, because I'm reading chronologically, and I need to read them all. And it's not exactly like it's work, is it? It's not, I've got to have some discipline in my life. I've got to stick to this. I can't just give up on this. I need to find out how the Captain America one ends. I've got to read it, but also Captain America, right?
Oh God.
When he's in the comics, and you agreed with this actually from your experience of the movies.
A wet rag.
You think he's a wet rag? I think is like when he's in the Avengers comics, like he's like a leader, and he's got this kind of nobility to him but then you have other characters around him that kind of bounce off those characteristics, and then also they go on like mad space adventures and fight supervillains. But Captain America's own comics, where it's just him, it's all just about the military and it's jingoistic and it's
Yeah, it's all
Danny,
very
and,
like.
and it hangs out with Nick Fury too much, and I can't be fucked with it. And I've got to finish this bloody war story about Captain America. I've got fucking Space Hulk waiting for me. I want to read Space Hulk. I'm 35 years old, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Girl done good. Marrying into this.
Oh boy.
Alright. So guys, yeah, like I think maybe we're relieving a little bit of tension.
Maybe there's
right
other
now,
things going on in our lives. Maybe it's not really about Space Hulk.
I don't think it's about Space Hulk.
I am looking forward to Space Hulk.
I know you are, Babs. You keep telling me. Yeah, just I really hope it's good because if you haven't read it yet and it's not
two
good,
volumes
I don't know if you'll be able to take it.
It's 2 volumes.
Like I think a bit of disappointment right now, and you'll lose your shit.
It's 2 volumes, right? And then later in the collection, there's another volume called World War Hulk, and that's by the same writer. So if these ones aren't good, I'll know I have that. Oh God, it's gonna kill me. No, it won't. It won't. Obviously, obviously not.
Yeah, no, but to sort of hark back a little bit, yeah, I think this is a bit of a silly one, and we'd sort of alluded to like we needed to reach for a drink, and it's been all a bit. Whew.
What is nice is the weather has been a bit less fucking warm today.
Yeah, it's been less. It's been far more reasonable.
Although weirdly, having been quite cool and windy in the day, now in the evening it seems quite warm again.
Yeah, I've gone hot. I was wearing a jumper earlier.
The sun's gone in and it's got hotter. I don't know what that's about because it was cooler in the day. What is weather? Yeah.
That's not your best material yet. Like,
weather,
eh?
Weather. Wind your neck in. Yeah. I don't know.
But yeah, I think tensions have been a little high over the last few days. Like you will have, anyone who has watched the last few vlogs will know that we've had some tensions. We've had a bit of anxiety over some stuff that's been going on, sort of in our worlds. I think we're going to leave most of that stuff there. There have been no developments since yesterday on our end, so I just think let's leave that for a bit.
We've kind of said what we think and how
so hopefully we can sort of change the subject on that, but I do kind of want to talk about like mood in general and like where we're at, because I don't think this is just us actually. I think I've said before, and I think quite a few people have also noted that all the way through all of lockdown, everybody's going through a bit of a roller coaster, but the thing that's awkward about it is everybody's on different points of the roller coaster. So like you might be having like a good spell where you're feeling fine, you're handling it, and actually like you're seeing the best in it and maybe enjoying the downtime and enjoying the rest, but somebody else you're talking to is on one of the bits that's just like hellfire and just anxiety and fear driving and just really poor mental health, all based on sort of how uncertain everything is. And they're not, those like peaks and troughs aren't necessarily, I've noticed for me anyway, triggered by specific things as such. I will just find that I'm having a bad few days when my anxiety's a bit bad or my moods are a bit all over the place. And other people seem to have had the same thing. Like they're just having one of the bad days where everything just feels a bit big and everything just feels a bit overwhelming, and then a couple of days pass and you sort of back to like this, into the swing of it and into the sort of like, okay, I'm back at this. But what I have noticed, even in the good bits and even sort of on sort of everybody being kind of on an even keel, everybody I think everybody's having a different type of lockdown. Some people might be shielding and on their own. Some people might be having to homeschool kids. Some people might still be working full time. Some people already worked from home, so it doesn't feel that much different, but they just can't do the social stuff the rest of the time. There's loads of different things that could be going on. Everyone has got the big cloud over them of global pandemic and imminent recession. So that's already enough to maybe put you a little bit on edge, I'd say. But then all of the sort of personal difficulties of lockdown are probably different, and different types of challenges for different people. I, for one, am very glad that I'm in lockdown with someone. I am also very glad I am not in lockdown with children I have to homeschool, because that sounds like no fun at all. And I don't think anybody's breezing through that happily. Even I've got friends who are teachers who are finding homeschooling difficult because it's just not conducive, because you do that at school, you don't do that at home, and you sort of have different practices. It's all very difficult and very
Especially if
different
you've
and
got
weird.
2 or 3 kids,
Yeah.
they're different ages, they've got different curriculums. My friend Violet on her Facebook the other day was saying, I've got one child crying because I'm trying to make her do her homework. I've got the other child crying because I'm not doing homework with her.
Just swap, it's
Yeah,
fine. But yeah, no. Well, actually, I've got another friend. She's got 2 youngsters, and one of them, I think there's an age gap of about 4 years, and so he's sort of in school and like having to sort of do proper set work, and the littlest one is nursery age, but he's like quite a clingy kid. He like wants to be around her all the time, and if she's doing something with his brother, she's like, what? He's like, what are you doing? I want to get involved. It's like, but you can't get involved because it's too grown up. It's sort of, you won't understand, and you'll get frustrated. And but she's got the 2 of them, and there's nobody else there, so it's like, well, I've constantly got to compromise what one of them needs, and essentially then it ends up being that neither of them get what they need, and then you feel really stressed and like you're not achieving what you need to. And everybody is stressed about something. It's just some of those stresses are just sitting in the background as these like uncertainties that are just hanging over all of us, and others are right there and then difficulties that you're dealing with in there and then. We, as I keep saying, are very lucky because actually the day-to-day life of lockdown is pretty easy for us. We don't really have to be anywhere. We don't really have to do anything. We just have to stay in and not die, essentially. Not catch COVID, not die, not hurt each other. Is essentially all that's on us. But obviously in the background of even that is, well, we're doing that with much less income than we're used to. We don't know when we're going to get back to making that income that we need to, so therefore we can't plan things for the future or make any of those plans. So big picture stuff is stressing us out, but little picture stuff isn't.
Yeah.
Other people have got different sort of levels of that. But I think that the upshot is everybody is sort of, the way I keep putting it is that like they're just running in the top 5% of their capacity. And then, like, as soon as the temperature, like, turns up by just 1 degree, it's just enough to make you boil over. So everybody seems to, at times, be sort of seeming like to just get very upset very quickly, or, like, very angry. Tempers are fraying. I know so many people who are having massive barneys with people that they wouldn't normally be. I think people's mental health is struggling in ways that it normally wouldn't. I don't know, I'd put my hand up for some of that. Like, day to day, again, okay, but then I have little spells. Like, these last few days, my anxiety has been pretty bad. Thankfully, in just, like, low level, feel a bit sick, feel a bit restless, can't really concentrate kind of level. It hasn't been like panic attacky, but just that sort of low level, can't concentrate, feel sick, just not a very pleasant way of being. And yeah, just everybody is just very, like, fingers are on triggers constantly, it feels like. And so I think the peaks are great. Like, when you're actually having one of those good days where you're really enjoying yourself and you're just like, this is lovely, I'm getting the rest I need, I'm getting the relaxation that I've always wanted to have and all of that, great. But the, like, troughs are horrible. And everybody's on a different point of the ride. So somebody can just be, like, tootling along, having, like, a perfectly lovely day, and then they have a mental interaction with somebody else that's really struggling. And because so much of this is all happening remotely from each other as well, quite a lot of it's happening without the, like, sort of visual input of, oh, you look a bit down, or you look a bit upset, or whatever. And it's all just like, this is why the internet is a bad place at the moment, because there's so many people, I think, having minor explosions behind keyboards that other people are then going, ha ha, this is hilarious, and not necessarily even realizing that the other person might be genuinely upset or angry. And it's just sort of exploding. Everything's just going bonkers. And we're nearly 100 days into it, and we're not nearly out of it. But I was talking to some friends on a video chat earlier today. They're in Manchester, so obviously they're in England, where sort of restrictions have relaxed a bit. But they're still in a sort of limbo state because they've got relatives that live in different cities, and they're like, well, I know we can move around, but I don't really feel comfortable getting in public transport and going across country. But then I've got sort of obligations from family who maybe want me to, and that kind of thing. And we were looking at buying a house. We're sort of now reopening the idea of doing that, but actually is now a good time to be buying a house because we don't know what the housing market's going to do, because money is probably going to be hard to come by for quite a lot of people in the next sort of few years. So it's all just every interaction that you have, every little thing has a weird subtext, context due to everything that's going on in the background, either due to lockdown restrictions or due to finances or due to health implications. But there's something to worry about with every single interaction that you have, be that with friends, family, work, or even just yourself, like with the way, like your habits that you're normally into, things that you normally do for health, for self-care that you can't do anymore, or you can't do in the same way. And it's just like a bit exhausting. Like, I think that's what I've taken away from these last few days, is I've just sort of felt like, guys, this is just like, it just feels like it's exhausting and everyone's struggling, but nobody's giving each other a break due to the fact that everybody else is struggling, because everybody's just kind of in their own struggle and in their own head about why things are difficult for them. But like, I guess like things are difficult for everyone, and there is a bit of release in losing your temper or getting upset. I guess it is in a way therapeutic, but it's just not always helpful. And yeah, it's just been a bit insane. Like, we both, well, you, I won't say obviously who to or what about, but you were on the phone till about 5 a.m. this morning to a friend who was needing it, and
that was the second night in a row that I was on the
Yeah.
phone till like 5 a.m.
Yeah, and then a different friend this evening you were on the phone to. I was sort of having my own like a friend crisis going on this evening. There have been others that have been going on group chats. Like, literally, I was on a video chat with my friends Hayley and Joe. And it was quite a long one, because I think we like eventually got onto it about 6:30, and I think we came off at about 10ish, 9:45, something like that. So obviously I hadn't been looking at my phone through any of that, but then I looked at it, and I had about 6 or 7 different group chats that all had notifications, but 3 of them had like when it says 99 plus, and I was just like, oh, that's really good. And actually most of them thankfully were just conversations that had started up and just a lot of banter, and it had just sort of been silly. But like 2 of them were different groups of friends having crises, and it was just like, whoa. I looked away for like 3 hours and the world explodes, and I just like don't know where it's come from. And it just feels like maybe this last couple of days in our little local, we being the epicenter of it, there've been quite a few of those explosions around us in our little epicenter. But that just might be sort of other people have been having that, and we just happen to be having a few different people having a few of them around us right now. But it's like, it's not getting easier as time goes on, basically. And as lockdown restrictions are eased, that doesn't mean it's getting easier.
Well, I've been thinking about a lot today about lockdown restrictions being the idea that lockdown might be quote unquote coming to an end for some people and not others. And I've been thinking about work a lot as well, because we've been in furlough kind of since as we talked at the start, since kind of the start of this, we've been in furlough. I have 2 jobs, one of which is comedy.
Which you don't get furlough for that.
Don't get furlough for that, unfortunately. But in terms of, I've been missing like gigging and doing live comedy, but I have found other creative outlets, and we've found other ways to kind of fill our days and be productive with our time, or have fun and
I haven't been very productive.
Make the time pass. But my other job, my day job, I only do a few days a week, but I can't say I've massively missed it as a job, although obviously I've missed the additional income that it would normally provide, being on 80% of my wage and all of that side of things. But sort of with all the anxiety I've been experiencing the last couple of days, the I actually was saying to Ellie earlier, it's like the first time in all of this that I've actually sort of kind of gone, oh, sort of miss going into work, because I think when you've got some stress or something going, it's sometimes just the normality of kind of going in, seeing your colleagues.
Distraction and routine.
Yeah,
like you wouldn't be able to be looking at your phone every 2 minutes and
get out of your
seeing
head
sort
a
of
bit,
social
get a
media
bit of
stuff
perspective, and think about other things. And like I know, for example, like in the past, when I've been through a breakup and maybe I'm feeling a bit down and I just want to sit at home and in sweatpants and eat ice cream in front of the telly, like having to get dressed and go out of the house and see people and interact with colleagues and a bit of normality can be quite useful and quite helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
To get you out of a slump.
Definitely.
And I think, you know, similarly, just going in and be able to see my colleagues that I like and be able to kind of have a bit of chat and be able to, you know, discuss other things and remember that what's going on in our little bubble isn't the whole world and all the rest of that would be probably quite useful right now.
Yeah.
And so, of course, because the universe loves irony, it's today the first time I've expressed any sort of desire to sort of want to go back to work at all. That's when I get the email from my work explaining that although the initial furlough period was set until the end of June, there's not enough demand for the services of the company that I work for at present to warrant bringing everyone back, so my furlough has been extended. Now, you know, I'll still be in quite a comfortable position. As Ellie's mentioned, we're relatively lucky, and I'm sure there's going to be other days where I'm going to be glad that I don't have to go to work. But
still got a lot of graphic novels to get
yes,
through before we're out of this.
It's just kind of, I don't know, it's just an amusing irony of the first time I express any interest in going back to work, they sort of go, no, you can't, not yet. Oh, okay. But it's just weird timing. But the other thing that it's made me think about is as people talk about kind of lockdown beginning to end and things, and for some people it will, and like the pubs are going to open, and some people are going to start going back to those, and we've already discussed that we don't want to kind of be the first people going back to pubs and things. We want to kind of hold off and see how things pan out. But also, because we're on 80% of our wages, we can't necessarily afford boozy nights out.
No.
We can't afford, say, to be getting public transport to go and see a band or to go and do things, even if they were
big night out type things is probably where that 20%, well, maybe not 20% of our wage, but like eating out, getting takeaways, those sorts of things, having big nights out will be things that we kind of probably will not be indulging in for a while.
Even when we're technically allowed to go out and do some of these fun things, we'll still essentially be kind of going, can't really afford to right now though, so we're kind of stuck to the house. And even when
I think I'd be more inclined to sort of be like, well, can we, and I assume at some point when we're allowed to go to the pub, we will be allowed to go to each other's houses.
Yeah.
And that's probably the point. I'd be like, well, okay, can I have a few friends round, or can we do something at someone's house? So you can have like a cheap night out, but still feel like a bit more normality.
But I think it's going to be weird when we're seeing people going to the pubs or talking about going to the pub or to see a band or see whatever, and we can't really do that yet. And
I don't think bands are going to be on for a while.
Okay, no, all right, but there's a broader point that I'm trying to make, is that, you know, maybe at the minute it's felt very much like we're all in this together, you know, and then there might reach a thing where it feels a bit out of step, where some people, you know, we're seeing social media, people seem to be able to be doing things that maybe we can't or don't feel safe doing, whether it's the finances or whether it's just we don't feel safe doing it, you know, whatever it might be, or travelling across the country to see family and things like that. So that's going to be, so there's a bit of uncertainty about that I'm a bit sort of worried about.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to make it harder for people, because there's going to be even more of that feeling of like, well, I'm seeing other people do the things I'd like to be doing and I can't, and that sort of. But and then also vice versa, maybe people pressuring you to do those things when you don't feel comfortable to do them. And like, well, just today, like obviously I'm talking to my friends in England. They've got a different situation than we have here, so it's just like, well, even just that, like my friends that I used to live with are having a totally different lockdown experience, because they live they actually live up in Manchester, but it just 20 minutes from here you'd be in England, and that's a whole different world in terms of what you are and aren't allowed to do, and so it's all just very divisive and separating of sort of each other. And
but also in terms of like my day job, as I say, I've not been constantly worrying about my day job or dwelling on it at all, but I think I've had a picture kind of in my mind's eye when all this started. This idea that we're all suddenly off in furlough, and there's been a because the opticians where I work has been open for emergency appointments, so there have been a few staff on hand kind of throughout, but a lot of us have been on furlough, and I think I had this idea that furlough would end, and everyone would kind of come back in, and it'd be, hey, it's really nice to see everyone, and you
Maybe
know,
a
how's
distinct end
your
point,
furlough?
and then
How's your furlough been? What have you been up to? How are you doing? And I kind of feel like now, because it seems as though it's going to be a much more staggered affair, you know, I'll turn up at some future point to a group of people who are already a bit more like, oh,
back
hi,
into the
hi, you're
humdrum
here.
routine of it.
Yeah,
Like,
but we've already had a bunch of conversations about our furlough, and we've already said hi, and we're just back into it now,
yeah.
rather than us all being in a like a, hey, it's exciting to be here, or whatever.
Yeah, a bit like expecting maybe it to be feeling like when you all go back to school all together after having the summer holidays, and actually it being more like when you've been off work but everybody else has been carrying on, and then you just come back and people are like, oh, you're here, but like it's, and you're just like, oh, I'm back in the routine of it, but
Yeah,
there's no sort
you
of
don't get that kind of.
ooh,
And I think it's
like
I think there's a similar thing that happens around kind of live event. You know, when a lot of sport kind of got cancelled, or theatre, or bands, and there's a sense of like, oh, okay, that's a bit weird, but imagine the excitement and the atmosphere when we can start doing that again, and there's an arena full of fans, or there's an audience full of people at the gigs, and actually that isn't really going to be that experience either, because it's going to be staggered and it's going to be social distanced and weird, and then by the time it does get back to a full audience, it's not going to feel this kind of like big,
it's not going to be a stark contrast as much. So, and yeah, it's sort of like, yeah, because of the staggering of everything, like it's going to feel a bit weird and strange. You're just not going to have that sudden like, oh, we can do this now. And actually, even as we've said, like when we can do it, we might not do it, and then a lot of people might not do it, and it might change the way we do things. Like arena gigs, like until there's a vaccine for this, like might not be a thing. Like theatre, I guess seated entertainment, they have the potential to socially distance the capacity. Obviously it's going to reduce money and profits, but like there's potential for that to be doable if we also stagger like start times for arriving and all file in sensibly and all that kind of stuff. But everything's going to look different, and also there needs to be like there is no money going into the arts at the moment, so how they expect theatres to still have staff and be owned and paid for when all of this is eventually over. And same with big venues and music venues, small music venues as well. Like there's quite a lot of small music venues and comedy venues and things like that that rely on essentially booking out the whole place, may not function on like even on like a sort of 60% capacity. Like 60% capacity permanently being your maximum capacity might mean that your profit margins just don't work, and the whole business needs to be restructured in order to be viable. And again, it's lots of massive question marks, and it's like we can keep doing the day to day, but we can't make any future plans.
For my personal kind of area of expertise, my industry that I work in of stand-up comedy, I mean, prices for gigs can vary kind of quite a lot, and it's not like a set structure across the board, because a lot of gigs are run by individual sort of freelance promoters, and they might be based on the size of the venue and the capacity and the number of tickets they can sell. But broadly speaking, you know, most working comedians aren't on sort of bags and bags of money. It's not kind of riches. You know, people can and do make a living from it, but it's not like most comedians are kind of just making money hand over fist at the best of times. No. And in comedy, wages, you know, broadly, like I say, fees for gigs can differ, but fees in comedy haven't really increased for about a decade or more, right? And it's not an easy fix to that, because it is dependent on how many tickets you can sell and overall how much people are willing to pay for a gig. And obviously, if the economy's not in a good way, people aren't willing to pay as much for an evening's entertainment, irrespective of, the value of that evening.
And that same thing will knock on to people not going to escape rooms.
There could be a brilliant evening of entertainment that is, well worth £100 a ticket because such is the quality of the entertainment, say. But if I don't have £100 to spend on a ticket, I'm not going to go. It doesn't mean I don't think it's worth it. And that's the same thing as like your local comedy night. Maybe it's worth paying a bit more than they currently charge, given the quality of the entertainment. But they've got to work out the prices based on what people are able or willing to pay.
What people do pay.
So it's not easy at the best of times. And then when you factor in that comedians a lot of the time don't get kind of travel expenses or anything paid, so they've got to take out their petrol or their public transport, potentially an Airbnb or something, out of their fees, and you're weighing up, is it worth me going to this gig and paying, I won't be making much money, but maybe it'll be an opportunity to be seen for other gigs, and you've got to make these calculations all the time. Then if you go, well, we're going to have to halve or take away 2/3 of the capacity of the venue, and the fees are going to reflect that.
You're like, well, I don't know if
it's worth me travelling around the country doing this.
People who have money and come from money, or have rich spouses, or just have other means of income,
rich parents
will be able to keep gigging. But people who literally can't travel unless their costs are at least covered, or at least if it's like it has to be profitable. Otherwise, you'll only play your local gig venues that you can get to easily, and you're not going to sort of make a name for yourself that way. And there aren't going to be enough gigs that you could maybe do that if you live in London, because there will be enough comedy gigs to get to. But basically, anywhere, even a big city like Cardiff, you couldn't have only gigged Cardiff and made a name for yourself,
or even only ever gigged South Wales and made a decent living, really. So, and it might be. There's already a class divide in comedy, but it looks as though that might get wider, so that's not ideal.
So prepare for some very middle class comedians over the next few years, guys.
I know I sound and look middle class, and I even have the upbringing, but don't worry, I have become working class through dint of having no money. Let's finish on a happy story, shall we?
Okay, what's the happy story?
Graham Linehan. Well, Twitter have been up to their own old tricks, haven't they, of banning people who deserve to be banned. Because Graham Linehan has been banned from Twitter.
Graham Linehan, if you don't know, he's a comedy writer of Black Books and Father Ted and some things that
the IT crowd. Those are his most famous.
Unfortunately, massive transphobe.
Yeah.
Weirdly doubles down on it. Like when people have called him out for it, and you're just like, why is this even your fucking issue, dude?
Yeah, you might, and it might be. This might be. A lot of people know about this already. It's not. Secret,
I just think some people might not.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I was going to go on to say that I think there may well be people who don't follow what the goings on Twitter, who just know him as the bloke who wrote Father Ted.
Yeah.
This is all a bit of a surprise.
And he's probably quite a lovely character that they liked and support. But yeah, he's a dickhead.
We talked earlier in this month or last month about old J.K. Rowling, and that she has exhibited transphobia in her tweets and writings and things. But the difference is, and this is not to kind of let J.K. Rowling off the hook in any way, but it seems as though J.K. Rowling has a lot of stuff going on, and occasionally she lets slip some transphobic views, and when she doesn't seem particularly repentant or whatever about it. But it's just one of the things that is going on in her life.
Yeah.
She's writing books. She's doing interviews. She's being a transphobe. She's one of the many hats that she wears. Whereas Graham Linehan
seems to have made a full-time hobby.
You can't now, but if were you to go back and look at his Twitter feed, it feels like the vast majority of it every day is either being transphobic or sharing other people's transphobia.
Retweeting transphobic shit. I can't believe he's got away with it for so long.
And kind of
atting them to misgender them.
Yeah, sharing photos of people before they had gone Transition, thank you. That was the word I was looking for. And using their old names, dead naming them, and 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 just being really, really deliberately shitty.
Yeah, the thing
And
is, with any of that, like, I think for the most part, and I think I've said it before, um, most people will forgive a slip of the tongue or a mistake, or if you've known someone in both personas accidentally using the wrong pronoun or something like that, particularly if you sort of go, oh, sorry, most people will be totally cool with that. But the point where it becomes a dick move is if you know what you should be doing, you have been corrected on it, and you continue to do it anyway. J.K. Rowling, regardless of whether or not you think it has any value, her argument claims to be based around keeping single-sex spaces safe spaces for women. So I don't think that is a valid argument, because I think if anyone is going to have a hard time in a single-sex space, it's going to be a trans person. It particularly if they're being forced to go into their previous gender's space, presenting as their new proper real self, because they'll stick out, it will feel uncomfortable, it will be horrible. Essentially, it would be just as uncomfortable, well, it'd be more uncomfortable, but it would be as uncomfortable if you say to you, right, go into the bathroom in, I don't know, Weatherspoons, and go in there and start chatting with all the, like, you're gonna immediately get people sort of going, what are you doing in here, mate? Fuck off. It's unfair and uncool to expect people to use the wrong bathroom, essentially. Whether that's so I think it's a dick move, and it's using the fake argument of women's safety in order to exclude trans women from female spaces. Trans women are women, so they can use the ladies' bathroom, as far as I'm concerned. It would all be better if actually we just didn't gender bathrooms, but okay, like, if you're going to make it about that, if you're going to make it about, like, women's refuges and safe spaces, essentially, somebody of any gender or any gender identity or anywhere in the middle, if they go into a space and they behave inappropriately, they should have the full weight of the law come down on them.
Transphobes.
But legislating against the possibility that anyone can use that space because of what genitalia they may or may not have is absurd. But J.K. Rowling's arguments seem to be based around those issues. Arguably, if you want to play devil's advocate, she is a woman, she's got skin in the game about women's spaces. Graham Linehan has no skin in this game, and he's been fighting it harder.
He claims to be
than necessary.
He claims
he's
to be
he's
like,
just, well, he's not even. I don't even really want to use the term TERF because I don't think he's a feminist. I think he's just a transphobe.
He claims what he's doing is like a defender of women. He's a feminist, and he's doing it because men don't listen to women. So he, as a man, has to stand up for them. But like, even then, it's like, why is it your full-time job though? Why is that not just something you sometimes do? And why have you made it your full-time obsession? It's really fucking weird. But also, transphobes, why are they so obsessed with toilets? Like, trans people need to concern themselves sometimes with toilets because for them it is an issue of safety and comfort and, and something that they are forced to kind of confront and deal with. Why are transphobes so obsessed?
Why are cis people so obsessed with trans people using news? She made a smell.
Lucy Dog has made a smell, and if I could, like, that smell is like the.
Hasn't hit me yet.
Oh, it's like the nasal embodiment. It's like the nasal embodiment of transphobia.
Maybe you can just smell transphobia.
It makes me sad.
Oh,
I wish I was transphobia. I could smell. I wish I could give Lucy a pass, but it's definitely from her ass. All too familiar.
Yeah, it's just like that's the thing. Like, why are the people in the sort of privileged group punching down to the group that are sort of pointing out their own struggles and difficulties? It just seems so unnecessary and uncool, uncalled for. So he's been banned. Yay! Well done,
Yay.
Twitter. And anyone who's, I said this when we were talking about Rowling, but like anyone who's banging on about free speech, He's got free speech. He can set up his own website and say whatever the fuck he likes on there. But Twitter is a company, and he signed up to their terms of service when he signed on to it. And they've got every right to say, not in here, buddy. Just as any pub could kick someone out for being a dickhead, Twitter can kick them out for being a dickhead. So I'm glad they have.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he was that fucking...
No one is entitled to be on Twitter, are they?
It's not a God-given... It's not a human right.
No.
And also, inciting hate speech isn't a part of free speech anyway. And I would say spouting transphobia particularly to the extent that he does, is inciting hate speech. I would say it's inciting hatred, and so there's no place for that.
Free speech is important, but people should also feel free to not feel just
attacked,
fucking...
just for being
free. Yeah. One more plug, because this is our last chance to get the word out. Tomorrow, we will be doing a live vlog. That's Sunday at 8 o'clock. We're recording this on the Saturday night.
So this will come out 10 a.m. Sunday. So tonight. Tonight at 8 p.m. Come back here where you are watching this now.
On YouTube.
On YouTube, this channel. Literally just follow us or subscribe if you haven't already, and here it will be. But log in at 8 p.m. You'll get a notification if you've subscribed.
Don't worry if you can't make it, or if you're watching this and going, well, that's in the past now, I've missed it. It will be available like all the other episodes, but it will be fun if you want to join us and ask questions or join in.
Have a chat, give us some opinions, talk to us. Maybe sort of, there's no real agenda for it. We'll just sort of see what happens. We will sort of put aside some things to chat about in case nobody says anything.
Yeah, so it might just be business as usual. Worst case scenario.
Yeah, but hopefully see you guys here tonight. Tonight, I guess, from your point of view, at 8 p.m. Otherwise, sorry you missed it, but we will be back as normal at 10 a.m. every day
if it is popular,
for the non-live ones. Yeah, if it turns out popular, if it's a bit of fun, we might do them regularly. Maybe we'll do them once a week or something like that.
Yes,
we'll see.
We won't second guess it because we do not know.
Suck it and see. All right. Okay, guys. Well, we'll
like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
There's no fucking shame in it.
There's no shame.